Hello? Hey.
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Not much. What's up with you?
Well, hey, sorry, I was trying to call somebody else, and we used to do that podcast, and I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I hit the wrong person or something. I'm sorry, but what's up?
Oh, not much, man. Not much. What's up with you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Can't complain. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I was trying to call somebody, and we used to do this so much. Maybe I clicked the wrong person.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, no big deal. I mean, it's a little hurtful, but that's okay. Not. I mean, it is what it is.
But I didn't. I'm just saying.
Right.
Still.
I mean, since we're both here,
yeah.
You want to revisit season 5 of Buffy?
Yeah. Why not? What the hell?
Let's do it.
She knows him only as legend.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
When the new season begins, he will call her by name.
Take me to him.
The face of evil has never been as alluring as his.
It does seem like he has some sort of control over me.
Dracula. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season premiere. She was chosen to protect the living.
I've changed a lot since I first became the Slayer.
He was destined to proclaim the dead.
Do not fight. I can feel your hunger.
On the season premiere, these two legends will meet.
I have yearned for you.
The season premiere, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
And we are back, baby. We are back with a vengeance.
We are back. We are back to discuss the Buffyverse in only the way that James and Germs can deliver to you.
That's right. We know there are other Buffy podcasts out there, but we also know that we are the best.
That's right. And after a extended hiatus and a lengthy time frame, we are back. So let's just hit the ground running. What do you say, Jeremy?
And we ain't going nowhere again.
Well, let's not make promises we can't keep. But
no, honestly, folks, we have no intention of that. Not that kind of hiatus.
Right. I mean,
should never happen again.
I mean, but to be fair, we never do. We never do.
Yeah, to be fair, we are known liars, so
right.
You never know.
So that being said,
incest too.
Incest too.
Is that like
that being said?
Like your incest is best when your sister says yes. Okay, maybe that's something else.
I'm not from Alabama, so I don't know.
Oh, well, me neither. So.
So that being said, a couple of quick podcast announcements. Going forward, we will be focusing on one show at a time. So we will be focusing on seasons 5, 6, and 7 of Buffy. Once those are wrapped up, we will focus on seasons 2 through 5 of Angel. So that's how it's going to be. One episode a week, again, dropping on Mondays.
Still at 6 a.m. Mondays, baby.
Still at 6 a.m. on Mondays.
Except when James fucks up because he handles the video and they don't come up till like Tuesday at noon.
Exactly. You just have to deal with it.
The audio version of the podcast will always be there Monday at 6 a.m. because I am a professional.
Sure. Okay. We'll go with that.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so just to reiterate, so everyone's on the same page, we're going to be knocking out Buffy season 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to be moving back to Angel for seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5 of that show.
And let's just kind of say that there was 2 reasons for that. One, because for my sanity, I just had trouble juggling both shows at the same time. You had no issue with it, but I am slightly brain damaged, so it was a problem for me. But the other reason was because basically there's a couple of small exceptions, but basically the main crossovers of the 2 shows are now kind of done. There's not going to be any major like ground shaking crossovers like there were with the season 1 of Angel and season 4 of Buffy. So we felt like now would be the time that we could separate them.
Yeah, for the most part, the crossovers that happened during season 4 of Buffy and season 1 of Angel were integral to each other. Like a storyline would start on one show and finish on the other. Going forward, that's not really the case. You've got Angel pops up in an episode of Buffy here, and it doesn't tie into anything that's happening on Angel.
There's just nothing just earth-shatteringly, so...
At one point, Willow pops up in an episode of Angel, and it does tie into something that's happening on Buffy, but we'll have already gotten to that by the time it happens on Angel, so it's not... Willow doesn't show up on Angel because of anything that's happening on Angel or is pertinent to what's going on in Buffy, and vice versa with Angel showing up on Buffy.
Willow immediately just shows up to buy a pack of smokes for Tammy.
Yeah.
Tammy's like really hurting.
Why she had to go all the way to LA for that?
Tammy just got out of rehab, and she didn't have any money, and she was probably going to go back to the needle. So,
and of course, she was staying with Angel because, as we know, Angel's the bleeding heart and just can't say no to people in trouble. So, but anyway, yes, that's what's going on with the podcast going forward. We appreciate everyone that's still out there listening. If you're still out there, if you've abandoned us, well,
if there's anyone out there.
Yeah,
if you've abandoned us, we understand, we get it, but also fuck you.
Right? So, a couple things to talk about, non-pod related, but related to the world of Buffy. Earlier this year or late last year?
It was late last year, I believe.
Mark Blucas tried to kill his father and mother-in-law. Apparently, no, that was here. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
He is a known loser. So,
wow.
I don't put murder past him. At
really?
all.
That's okay. Okay. No, his son, or I'm sorry, his father and mother-in-law, yes, were found dead in Mark's Philadelphia home due to carbon monoxide poisoning. So,
well, that's the cover story. The truth is, do you want the truth? I'll lay it out right here. He
straight up murdered them. He straight up murdered them.
I don't know. It'll be a world exclusive here on the podcast, but it was a murder-suicide. Involving the swingers lifestyle and how they, there's some things that went on there, right?
They're just upside down pineapples and flamingos and shit, and it's a whole world of.
Let's just say there was a dirty Sanchez involved, and
probably even though they were in Philadelphia, they were definitely hitting some Cleveland steamers.
And there was definitely a Cincinnati bow tie. So
100%, 100%. So just a whole world of debauchery that
just
we're not going to
broke here on Slade the Buffy Visited podcast.
Right. In other tragic news, the very untimely passing of Michelle Trachtenberg at the
Which
age
is
of
crazy because of the season that we're starting today.
Yes, she was in her late 30s. She 37.
Oh, was she that old? Wow.
That old? That's not that old.
Well, because we met her as a child, so to me that feels
true.
And I'm 40, going to be 47 this year, so that just feels unreal to me that she was that old.
She was
30 something.
She was 39. She was 39.
Wow.
So just shy of 40.
You're telling me that she's only like 8 years younger than me? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's only 5 years younger than me.
Wow.
So, yes.
Now, I kind of fell out of the loop with the story there because I had a lot going on at the time.
It appeared to be liver failure. She apparently had just recently had a transplant, and apparently didn't.
But I'm like, who just has a liver transplant? Like, what was the you know what I mean? Like, I want to know more.
Oh, I don't really. I believe she had been sick for a while, based on red carpet appearances over the last couple of years.
Are we just going to assume that it was hepatitis that she got from a dirty needle tattoo in prison?
No, I think it was an actual disease, not something that was caused by sex, drugs, or rock and roll.
Okay, all right. Boring.
Yes, and yeah, it is very
sad.
It's sad. It is, as you pointed out, very coincidental and timely for the season we are heading into here. But yeah, sad for the Buffyverse. In more exciting Buffyverse news, we are officially a go on a Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series.
Not a reboot, folks. Not a reboot.
Not a reboot.
Thank Odin, because I'm so sick of fucking reboots because they always suck. This is just a sequel series starring who, James?
Starring Miss Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Indeed. And
she will be, by all accounts, in fact, just released within the last week, were some character breakdowns. She also said that it will begin lensing. The pilot episode will begin lensing this summer for Hulu.
Oh, and by the way, she's not playing Buffy.
She's not playing Buffy. No,
she's playing Candy.
No, she's playing the Buffy bot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
no, of course.
Twist on. No, of course she's playing Buffy. According to the character breakdown, she will be acting as mentor to one of the new Slayers.
Makes no sense to me, honestly. Since we can't jump. I don't want to jump ahead and do any spoilers, but think about how the series wrapped up.
Right.
It's like really, that's what you had. That's where you could. That's the best you could do.
Right. But apparently from the character breakdown, this new Slayer is more Willow than Buffy.
She is a little person. I've read.
And
you're just going to go over that one?
I'm just going to go right over that one. Okay. But much like Buffy, she comes from a single parent home. In this case, her father instead of a mother. And they're
going to be a halfway decent father.
Probably not.
Okay.
And then there were some other character breakdowns. Your usual, your Xander type character who's pining for the Slayer and
is also a sexual predator.
Right. Hopefully, in this,
Sander was.
like, he was. Hopefully, this sequel series will. I mean, it's the people behind it are a trio of very talented, powerful women there in Hollywood. So hopefully, we won't have characters that are viewed through the skewed lens of
sexual predator Joss Whedon.
Sexual predator Joss Whedon.
So really quick, James, because you know more than I do. Who is okay? So it's 3 women, and they're all like are they the all the producers? Are they the showrunners?
So far, it's writers and producers. So it's obviously Sarah's involved behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm sure she's at least an exec producer.
And then you've got here. Let me pull it up here real quick.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to get you off guard. You just know a lot more than I do, and that's interesting though. I'm glad it's going to be women writing for women this time instead of a sexual predator. I'm sorry, Joss Whedon.
Right. Okay, so here's so Nora and Lila Zuckerman are attached as writers, showrunners, and executive producers of our sequel series.
Okay, so they are going to. Okay.
And Chloe Zhao, who's a award-winning director, is attached to direct and executive produce. Additional executive producers include obviously Sarah Michelle Gellar, Gail Berman, Fran and Kaz Kazooie, and Dolly Parton. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, that Dolly was a silent EP.
I think we did. I think we did a couple of times. She
was a hands-off. I mean, a lot of executive producers are hands-off. They just get the EP credit because they were involved in some way. It's my understanding that Dolly was involved in some financial backing of the show.
But she does a lot. I mean, Dolly is just a superb human being. So
right. So so we've got a laundry list of very talented women backing the show. So hopefully, we won't get things skewed through that the sexual predator lens of Joss Whedon.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's hoping, everybody. We will obviously be talking about this. Not doing the episodes, but when it actually comes out, I'm sure we will have some things to say. So
sure.
Stay tuned.
And who knows? We at some point we may decide to cover it.
Maybe after Highlander.
Once it's run its course. Once.
Yeah. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do a live run.
Right. So that is everything. I think we have not related directly to the season 5 premiere of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, then let me clue in our audience. Today we will be jumping into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 5, episode 1, entitled Buffy versus Dracula.
Yes.
So
we will be diving right into that. This is our 79th episode of the series overall. Again, Buffy versus Dracula. Our episode director this week is David Sullivan, and our credited writer is Marty Noxon. Our original air date was September 26th, 2000 on the now defunct WB network. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Mark Blucas as Riley, James Marsters as Spike, Anthony Stewart, not Bubkiss. Oh. Anthony Stewart Head as Giles.
Change that to Cold-Blooded Murderer.
Anthony Stewart Head as Giles, Michelle Trachtenberg as Dawn, and making her official credits debut finally with season 5,
Yep.
Miss Emma Caulfield as Anya.
Yep.
Our guest stars this week include Rudolph Martin as Dracula, Amber Benson as Tara, and Christine Sutherland as Joyce Leheur Samers. Here is Samers. Our Nielsen ratings this week, 3.9. Ranking it 67 out of the 125 primetime shows airing that week, and number 1 out of the 17 shows airing in primetime on the WB for that week.
Way to go. Way to go, Buffy. Way to go.
Way to go, Buffy. Way to go. My episode synopsis this week reads, Buffy becomes enthralled by the most illustrious vampire of all time, Dracula. Xander acts as Dracula's agent, leading his friends into danger.
Well, okay then. Mine reads, the one and only Dracula. That's how we have to say it from here on out.
Dracula.
Makes his way to Sunnydale and immediately has everyone enchanted. Does he, though? Is that accurate? I don't feel like it is. Anyway.
I was enchanted.
Well, you're a raging homosexual. He immediately has everyone enchanted. Even Buffy might not be able to resist his charms. Now that's accurate.
That is accurate. But
I just feel like the whole everyone is enchanted thing. I think. Well, we'll do the episode, but
we'll do the episode. We'll go ahead. Little behind the scenes fun fact to start us off here. Rudolph Martin, who is playing Dracula. He also portrayed Dracula in the movie Dark Prince, the true story of Dracula, and previously worked with Miss Sarah Michelle Gellar on All My Children, where he played her character's love interest.
And he also played in a little-known movie that was shot off, kind of outside of Hollywood. That was, it was XXX hardcore pornography.
It's funny you say that because as you were doing your little spiel there, I was getting ready to interject. Was it, this isn't Bram Stoker's Dracula XXX?
Yeah, it's kind of like, like there's Broadway and then there's off-Broadway. Well, in Hollywood, in LA, there's Hollywood and then there's porn.
Right.
So
actually, a lot of it's sad that I
no, I want to hear.
It's sad that I know this, but I read a lot.
He reads for the articles.
A lot of porn productions have moved out of California and to Florida.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because
condom laws or something like that.
Yes, because of condom laws in California.
That was a good handful. That was several years ago, 6-7 years ago that happened. I remember that because I remember them talking about California was going to pass that law and all the porn people were losing their minds, and then they passed it, and then I heard, they're going here, they're going there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but that's exactly why California passed some laws regarding sex workers and the use of condoms, and a lot of people in that industry were like, nah, fuck that. Nobody wants to see that. So they moved production on a lot of that stuff down to Florida. Probably a small place outside of Tampa would be my guess.
I'm thinking probably somewhere around Mar-a-Lago, probably.
Maybe. It actually happens in the private suites at Cinderella Castle in Disneyland.
Yeah. Because
Disney World.
They were like, listen, if we can't give each other syphilis on camera, what's the point?
What's the point of even doing
what are we doing here?
What are we doing here if not giving each other syphilis on
Exactly.
camera? Exactly.
Sharing, I've said it before and I'll say it.
Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Anyway, we open on a restless Buffy in bed. And she gets up, and we find her in one of Sunnydale's many cemeteries on patrol, she quickly dispatches of a vampire and returns to gentle slumber in bed with Riley. And that's our cold open.
Yeah, it is. James, during our hiatus, our way too long hiatus, I hadn't watched any episodes. And so when the decision was made, when my people got a hold of your people, and some new contracts were drawn up, and so we decided to return.
Right.
And I began my preparation work as a professional.
Listen, I feel like we talked about this before we started recording. I thought we had agreed we weren't going to bring up the contract negotiations.
Well, it's conducive to my story, so
I really feel like you're putting me on the spot here, though. I mean, I don't think it's fair that you're bringing this up right now.
Listen, I'm not the asshole that wouldn't play ball. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
You
go ahead and
to get involved.
Okay, you go ahead and finish your story. Your story.
So anyway, I hadn't watched, since we wrapped up season 4 and season 1 of Angel. And so, I'm watching this opening scene. I remember, kicking off. I'm like, yeah, here we go, baby. Back into Buffy here. And she was, and when she she does the vampire fight and everything, stakes it, goes back to bed. I was like, who the fuck is in her bed? Who's in her bed? Why is someone in her bed? Like, I had completely, I think justifiably, just put Riley out of my brain. And I was like, why is there someone laying in her bed? And then when the camera went to the close-up of the two of them, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, we still haven't got rid of that fucking turd yet. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Anyway, then we cut to a scene on the beach. And Buffy and Riley are playing catch. And, of course, at one point, he says something about how she throws like a girl. So she throws it like a missile, and it just goes right through his chest. Heart, lungs gone. And he just falls face first into the sand, dead as fuck. And
that's the end of Riley.
No, she does fire it like a missile at him, though, and it like knocks him over, and it ends up deflating the ball. Because meanwhile, we pan up a little further up the beach, and the rest of the gang, the Scoobs, are up there. They're all kind of, let's see, it's Willow, it's Tara, it's Xander. Oh, I didn't pay attention. Was Anya there? Anya was there.
Anya was there, yeah. It was all of them. It was the whole gang, minus Giles.
Minus Giles, right. So then it was a pointless adventure if you're not going to have Giles.
Right.
So they're up there.
How can you go anywhere without Daddy?
Yeah, why would you want to live a life without Giles is all I want to know.
Right.
Life. And you don't want him with you at all times?
Right. Doesn't even make sense.
No. I mean, what are we doing? So the four of them are up there just kind of just hanging in the shade and being losers. I mean, they're on the beach and they're just all set chairs being nerds. And they're wanting when Buffy and Bupkis gets back, they're ready for some burgers. And they're ready to eat, and Xander hasn't even got the fucking fire started in the goddamn barbecue pit. And he has a literal box of matches. And he's like, I can't get this fire to start. And I'm like, you can't start. And he even says, oh, it's nice to know that I'm not even the level of a caveman. And I'm like, right? You got charcoal and lighter fluid and a box of matches, and you can't make anything burn. So at that point, Willow goes, blah, 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 says some kind of magical shit, and poof, it fires up, and they're all like, oh shit. And Buffy's like, damn, bitch, I didn't know you could just make fire and shit. She's like, why don't you just do that to all the vampires, and I don't have to go out and stab them with wood? And Willow's like, well, yeah, but then we wouldn't have a show. And Buffy's like, true, I do have a car payment. So, so yeah, that all happens. And then they say something to her like, "Oh, wow, that's really dope. Well, you could do that." And she's like, "Yeah, it's not that hard. You just got to balance the elements and make sure that, because if you play with one element, you could, make the other one crazy. And at that time, the sky turns black and a thunderstorm starts, and they all grab their shit and start running. Unfortunately, Bupkis is hit by lightning and dies immediately.
Twice in 5 minutes.
Twice, yeah, he's dead twice. And that ain't for the last time, so just heads up. Somewhere elsewhere, there's two men, and it's now night. Either that or it's like the worst storm that's ever happened, because it sure looks like night. There's these two delivery guys who are taking out this huge crate from the back of this truck, and they're in front of this kind of mansion-y looking place. And the one guy on the one end drops it, and it hits the ground and kind of breaks open at the bottom, and there's a bunch of dirt in there. And the guy's like, "What the fuck? We're hauling around dirt?" And I'll be like, "Dude, you're delivery people. What does it matter what you're hauling around? The paycheck is the same,
Right.
But
you get fucking paid to deliver. It doesn't matter what you're delivering.
Yeah, he just seemed to be very unhappy with the contents of his delivery. It's not like it cracked open and it was like radioactive waste. I mean, then I could understand being a little miffed, but he's like, "What the fuck? Goddamn fucking dirt." And about that time, a hand busts through the crate and grabs, or as it flies up, like the nails kind of like gash the dude's jugular, and we cut away, assuming those two are now worm food. Then we cut to Daddy's house, and
Daddy.
and oh my god, I loved this scene, dude, because Willow has just installed a flatbed printer on Giles' computer, his Pentium 1 266 megahertz computer. And I was like, "Oh my god, I had several of these. I remember when that was a thing."
Oh yeah, we had a flatbed scanner too.
Yeah, sorry, my Alexa decided to start talking just now, so apologies. That bitch always talks, and I don't say anything to her. But anyway, so yeah, she's installed a flatbed printer, and she's like, "Oh, I can't wait. We're gonna get all the books and all the relevant information we have. We're gonna get it all digitized finally." And fucking Giles hands her this stack of books that must weigh like 100 pounds, and he's like, "Here, get started with these." And she's like, "Get started? Like, how about where's the end?" And he's kind of like, and I'm with him, but he's kind of like, "Yo, fucking leave then if you don't want to be here, you whiny ass. Like, you're the one." Like, clearly Willow like fucking volunteered for this because this is like right up her alley.
Right.
But she suddenly doesn't want to do, but she relents and she's like, no, I'm Willow. I'll do the grunt work. And he's like, "Damn right. I'm Giles. I don't do bullshit like that." And he has her sit down with him, and he says, "I want to tell you something, but you have to promise not to tell anyone else, especially Buffy." Which is like, really? Willow's going to tell her in the very next scene, probably. I mean,
right.
it's Willow. And he confides that, it's been a long time since
that he's gay.
Well, I was going to say he confides that it's been a long time since he's manscaped. And that takes us to our sponsor this week, James. That's how a lot of other podcasts are, and it drives me insane. So
before you go on, I want to point this out real quick. So this episode aired in 2000.
2000, yeah.
And if we go back to I, Robot You, Jane, Jenny was scanning books from the library to digitize them. And
Yes.
She was giving Giles shit and saying that one day he'd join the 20th century, maybe with 3 whole years to spare. And in this episode, as we're coming in at the end of the century, the beginning of the next, he is digitizing his book collection.
Yeah, finally.
I just thought that was interesting.
He's doing it in honor of her memory. He's just a little late. But yeah, so he says, Giles says to Willow, you can't tell anyone, especially Buffy. And she's like, okay. And he's like, and she even says, like, she's like, I'm not good with secret. Like, of all the people, why are you telling me, Giles? And he's like, you know what? I don't know. I need my fucking head examined, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And so he tells her, he's like, so it's been a long time since I was Buffy's watcher. I was fired a long time ago. In fact, last season, if you remember, I was only in a handful of episodes. And Willow was like, yeah, did that hurt? Did that actually cost you money, or did you still get paid the same? And he's like, bitch, I'm SAG. I still got my fucking pay. And she's like, word up. And then they fist bump. But yeah, so he's like, it's been a long time. It's clear to me now that Buffy doesn't really need me. Plus, I'd like to go back to England because the weather's so much better there than LA. What? And let's not forget, as we have stated multiple times, he has got the pimp pad of all pimp pads.
He does. He's got a sweet place.
Yeah, but he wants to give that up to go back to jolly old England where it does nothing but rain and you have to eat fucking the worst food that's ever been in. Sorry. So she's like, what? You can't, or I guess I should say he's going back to England. And she's like, what? You can't do that. And he's like, well, I kind of can because I'm a free person in the world. And she's like, well, yeah, but... And then he's like, no, shut up. I'm going back. So...
He's like, listen, Red, I'm booking it out of here, bitch.
Listen, I had very little work last year, okay? I was forced to sit in this pimp apartment and sit outside on the patio and sunbathe. I didn't have to risk my life very much. Listen, who wants to live that kind of life? I'm looking for danger, and I'm looking for pussy, okay? And if I ain't getting either... I don't know where I'm going with that. But yeah.
And everyone knows all the best danger and the best pussy is back in England.
That's right. And also the very best dental work. So he says, but of course she's like, oh fuck, and she's from here on out, the rest of the episode, she's going to be saying little things here and there, trying to reassure him that he is important and that he needs to stay and all that. So, I remember watching this episode, when it came out, and I was like, oh, hell no, dude. If he leaves the show, like I'm boycotting. I'm not going to watch it. So hopefully he doesn't leave, James, because otherwise the podcast is over. And we just got back.
If Giles ever leaves the show at all for any extended period of time, the podcast is over.
Podcast is over. I agree. 100%.
It's done.
100%.
It's done.
Done. Sick of it.
It's bad enough Angel's not on this show anymore.
Yeah. Because you don't get your weekly orgasm just from watching the episode.
Right.
Oh yeah. What are we doing here? Then we cut to Buffy and Jules Summers having dinner. By the way,
yes,
I would really like to know why is it every time they eat, like even if it's just the two of them, just Mom and Buffy, every time they eat a meal together, they eat in the dining room on the dining room table. They have a kitchen with an island and seats. They also have, if you pay attention, there's a table in there with some chairs. But they have to be California about it and go into the dining hall whenever they partake of mastication. So
some people just like to masticate at the dining room table.
That's fucking weird to me, but anyway,
I usually choose to eat at my dining table.
You have a dining room in an apartment?
Well, for one, it's a townhouse, not an apartment.
Oh, I've lived in a fucking townhouse. I know what you live in. I never had a goddamn. Well,
It's not.
That's a lie. We did have a dining room in the big one.
It's not. So it's not like a separate dining room, but there's a small dining area off the kitchen.
Oh, because it's not an eat-in kitchen.
No.
Okay, then that makes sense. Okay, all right, I got you. But see, you don't really have a choice. Like I'm saying, like why do they have chairs at their island and a table and chairs in the kitchen and literally no one? They eat breakfast there sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question.
It annoys me, and I want an answer.
I don't think anyone has an answer for you.
Okay, I'll just go fuck myself. So they're having.
Let's get Christine fucking Sutherland on the phone right now.
That's the answer. I know she'd love to be interviewed on this podcast.
100% she would.
As much as we have praised her character development. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She was. I'm honestly surprised she hasn't reached out to our people yet.
Right. I mean, what else has she got going on? Has she even been in anything since Buffy?
I don't know. I know she did one of the other little Buffy podcasts that nobody knows about.
Yeah. Because I think she just went back into porno after Buffy.
Wow. Wow.
So they're eating and Buffy's just like, well, I got to back.
What's funny is she didn't use her SAG name either as Christine Sutherland. All of her porn credits are as Joyce Summers.
Joyce LeHewer Summers. Summers.
Summers.
So as they're eating, Buffy announces, I gotta bounce, bitch. And Joyce is like, wow, okay. Like, and dinner's over, so I don't know why Joyce is like so taken aback. Like, she's like, I got a patrol. And is this, I think this is the scene, isn't it? Or maybe it's the next patrol scene, but I think it's this scene where she's like, I got a patrol, and Joyce is like at 8:30, and I'm like, it's vampires. Yeah, this is crime patrol time. Like, it's not kindergarten kids. You know? And Buffy's like, yeah. And Joyce is like, well, okay, but now I have to get used to the house being all quiet and lonely again when you go back to school. And Buffy's like, well, maybe you should have thought about that before you left me for fucking Thanksgiving when I was 17, bitch. And then she pieces out and leaves Joyce there to cry.
Yeah.
We're in a cemetery in the next scene, James. Why don't you take us through that rompous adventure?
So Buffy's in the cemetery, and she's doing her thing. She's cemeterying. No, she stakes a vampire, and then all of a sudden there's a cloud of mist, and the cloud of mist forms into a stately gentleman who introduces himself as Dracula.
Oh, I thought you knew. He even says, you don't know who I am? I am Dracula. And she's all like, and then what does she say, James?
Why are you making Dracula French?
I don't know, because
oui, I am Dracula.
As you will discover as we go along, I fucking hate this episode. But anyway. Yeah, so
maybe you just weren't good with accents.
He even says to her, though, he's like, how does he say that? He's like, you've never heard of me or something like that. I'm Dracula. And she's like, right. And it's right before a commercial break, and she goes, get out. You know.
Yeah. So he tells her that she's renowned throughout the world, and basically lays all this deep shit on her, that her power is rooted in darkness, and
you don't even know your own powers. And
wow,
he's chewing on a baguette.
Is this Buffy versus Dracula or Buffy versus Pepe Le Pew?
He's eating a baguette whilst wearing a little fucking what are those little things called?
A beret.
Yeah, beret. Yeah.
I am Dracula.
I am Dracula. You don't even know your own powers. And she's like, oh fuck. But it is a lot of silly like.
Raised, you don't know your own power, and it comes from darkness, and you're a killer, and
she's like, yeah, I literally did just kill that guy, so okay.
And she tries to stake him, and he dematerializes. At which point, Xander and Willow show up, and he rematerializes behind them. And then there's some back and forth between Xander and Dracula, and he turns into a bat and flies away, like attacks them, like flitters around their heads and then flies away.
He bat pooped on Xander's lip.
Say what you want about this episode, and you will. Rewatching it, I actually thought the special effects held up pretty well.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, at 100%. Like I've said it all along. Like it seems like with each season, they've gotten just a little bit more budget, and the special effects have absolutely gotten better.
Like his misting and turning into the bat and whatnot. Like they're pretty.
Like if this had been a season 1 episode, bro, it would have been even worse.
Right, but yeah, I think the special effects for this episode managed to hold up pretty well. 25 years later. If
this was a season 1 episode, most of these effects would have been like puppets and shit. Been like a puppet.
They literally. It would have been like him dematerializing into mist would have just been someone standing off camera throwing sand into a fan.
Yep.
And when he turned into a bat, it would just be like one of those dollar store like plastic bats that you see at Halloween with the string, and just someone like with a boom mic pole like bouncing it up and down off camera.
You would have heard the guy under the camera going. Yeah. So no, but yeah, you're 100% right. The effects are really good, especially for 25 years ago, and this was a TV show.
Right. So we cut back to Giles's sweet pimp pad, and the whole gang's there, and everyone is just awestruck by the fact that they met fucking Dracula, except for Riley and Xander, of course.
Yeah, and Giles, he's kind of seems.
Yeah, Giles really couldn't care. Buffy's talking about, she's all in awe that he knew who she was, and Willow thinks he was sexy or something to that effect. And
did you see those eyes? Those. I was like, yeah, I know, they look just like eyes.
And Anya, who wasn't there, reveals that she has had encounters with Dracula in the past and how amazing he is. And meanwhile, Riley and Xander and Tara are casually expressing their jealousy at their significant others oohing and ahhing over Count Dracula. As you would say.
Count Dracula.
Hey, I'm Count Dracula. Oui, come see the Eiffel Tower with me.
Would you like a baguette?
Would you like a baguette? Oh, oui.
No one in France ever listening to us ever again if they hear this episode.
No, not at all.
Or French Canada.
Right. Willow, of course, is subtly trying to make it seem like Giles and everything he is saying is just so uber important to the group, and there's no way they could possibly, come up with any of this information or these ideas without him being present. Then everyone starts to depart, and Buffy wants to go home, or Buffy says something about going home and getting some sleep, and she wants Riley to come with her, and Riley's like, if I go with you, there's not going to be any sleep involved, and so they all agree to meet back at Giles's the next morning, and Riley's going to bring donuts. And that's pretty much the end of that scene. And when we cut to Xander, we cut to Xander and Anya walking home, and they're being stalked by a wolf on the rooftops of Main Street, Sunnydale.
Yeah, nobody's like, huh?
What's that husky doing up there?
What's that old Siberian husky doing up there? And how do you think he got there?
How do you think that husky got up there?
He's got a collar on. You think we should check that?
You think he's chipped?
He might be chipped. I don't know. We should check him out.
The funniest part is when the husky starts howling with a French accent.
Yeah. And it's even funnier when he goes up and he finds that there's another dog up there, and he just starts humping it. That's even funnier.
That's so French. Walk around humping anything.
He's also has a goblet of red wine because he's French.
Wow.
All drinks.
And we've just been canceled by all French-speaking provinces across the world.
Yeah, well, yeah. And that's fine because, I mean, did they even know what we were saying before?
That's true. So they're walking home, and Anya's still fawning all over her memories of Dracula, and Xander's getting increasingly jealous, and they get to an intersection, and Anya basically says her goodbyes, and Xander's all like, "You're not coming back to my place," and she's like, "You live in your parents' basement, and you're basically a loser, so no, I will not be coming back to your place." No, she's like,
"You're hung like a fur coat, a button on a fur coat." So,
no, she said, she reminds them that it's White's Day and the bleach gives her headaches or something like that. So, because again, Xander lives in his parents' basement, and that's where the washer and dryer are. So,
and he has to do all of his and his parents' laundry. That's part of the deal to live there.
Right.
And
that's part of what's wrong. Imagine having to launder your father's stiff socks every day.
Right. And check his underwear for skid marks and make sure that it gets bleached out. Right.
So they part ways, and Xander ends up encountering Dracula. And Dracula puts Xander under his thrall with promises of making him immortal, and makes Xander his emissary to draw the Slayer to him. Xander basically becomes the Renfield character. And he
immediately bitches out too. He's just like, "Yes, master."
Right. Just like Renfield.
Yeah, like fucking Dracula. He just like pulls back his shirt, shows him a little bit of his nipple, and then Xander's like, "Yes, master. Yes, master."
Right. Dracula is literally like, You will do my bidding. And Xander's like, yes, master.
My Axe body spray.
Right. And Xander's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
I will. So yeah, Xander takes on the Renfield role from the Dracula story. And then we cut to Riley, who is roughing up Spike to get information about Dracula.
Which can we talk about? I don't even care about this scene because it's so stupid and pointless. But why? Why would his first thought? I got it. I'm gonna go talk to Spike. Like, he's obviously knows some shit about Dracula. He's not. He's like 120 years old.
So here's the thing. It's on some level it makes sense. Like, okay, you want to know about Dracula, you're going to go talk to a vampire, because chances are, if this dude's legit, or even if he's not legit, if there's somebody walking around claiming to be the legendary Dracula, he's probably made a name for himself amongst the vampire community. So it kind of makes sense to me. My bigger question is, why does Spike continue to live in this crypt that everyone fucking knows about and just shows up and smacks him around occasionally?
Why does he stay in Sunnydale, period? Why doesn't he go to some place, literally anywhere where people don't know him, don't know where he lives, to come and beat him up all the time?
Right.
Yeah.
As much as they hate each other, and tell me I'm wrong if you want to, as much as they hate each other, Spike would be better off going to LA and rooming with fucking Angel at this point.
Yeah, because unless Spike is a masochist.
Which he's a vampire, so he probably is.
Well, when Riley came into the crypt, he was hanging upside down by his testicles.
That's true. He was.
So
and when Riley started roughing him up, Spike was like, "Oh, Daddy,
more,
Daddy, more." So yeah, Riley's roughing up Spike for some information about Dracula, and Spike basically tells him, Drax all smoke and pony show. It's all old gypsy tricks, and but that doesn't change the fact that he's dangerous, and
which
Riley should take him out.
It's not true that this is all gypsy tricks.
Here,
so can turn into mist. He can turn into a bat. He can turn into a wolf.
So here's the thing, and this is kind of skipping ahead a little bit to the end of the episode. I was 100% on board with this explanation from Spike, like fitting Dracula and that mythos and keeping it accurate to Bram Stoker's Dracula as far as the character and turning into mist and the bat and the wolf. Like, I was okay with integrating that into Buffy vampire mythology with this one throwaway line from Spike that it's all a lot of showmanship and gypsy magic and whatnot until the very fucking end of the episode. And then it just gets thrown right out the fucking window.
×2.
And we'll talk more about that at the end of the episode and what I'm talking about. So yeah, he tells Riley, that even though he's all showmanship and smoke and mirrors and gypsy tricks, he's still too dangerous for Riley to take on alone.
And why would Spike care? Spike should be like, oh, dude, he's total baloney. You should totally go get him right now because you could own him just by yourself.
Right.
And just set him up to get murdered. Like, that's what he should have done.
Because you know why I think he doesn't do that? Because Spike, as you are well aware, Spike for as often as he fails and as often as his plans like go to shit, Spike is smart. And to an extent, he is a master manipulator. And he knows he's going to get Riley's ire by telling Riley, you're not tough enough to face this guy alone. You can't take him by yourself. He knows that that's going to appeal to Riley's machismo and basically going to force Riley to go and face Dracula by himself.
Yeah, but does that happen?
No.
Exactly. Like it
But
doesn't even happen.
But the thing is, but you asked why would Spike like do that? But that's why Spike would do that. Like it doesn't work, and that's not a failure on Spike being a manipulator. That's a failure on the writers.
Yeah, because this scene and other things leads you to believe Riley is thinking, I've got to handle this myself because he's too much. What, you know, blah, 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 I got to handle this. And then he goes and gets just owned or whatever. And then Buffy has to come save the day. But none of that happens.
Right. And also to that idea of Spike trying to manipulate Riley in that way, everything we've seen of Riley to this point would dictate that as soon as Spike is like, no, you're not man enough to take on Dracula, this guy's too tough for you, Riley would be on Dracula's doorstep ready to get owned by this motherfucker, because that's who Riley is.
Right. And
so,
especially now that he doesn't have the whatever it was, the initiative steroids.
Right.
He'll get wrecked, but
right. So to me, like, that's a failure on the writer's part in this particular episode. Riley 100% would have bought Spike's manipulation hook, line, and sinker and tried to take Dracula on by himself and got his ass handed to him.
Yeah, so I guess my bigger point then would be, why even have this scene? Why even have Spike in this episode? Like, this is a totally useless, throwaway, pointless scene that doesn't need to happen, because nothing, in no way is the story affected in any way by anything that happens in this scene. Right.
Again, a failure on the writer's part to follow through with their own setup.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Marty Noxon. You're better than this.
Shame on you. You are better than this.
They got the mustard out, for God's sakes, Marty Noxon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we cut to Buffy's bedroom, and what's going on there, Jeremy?
Hardcore sex. No, Buffy's asleep, and then we see the mist come into her open window, and then I'm Dracula. Oh wait, no, he's supposed to be French. Wait, how do I do that again? I'm Dracula. Yeah, so he's there. He's there.
He's not supposed to be French, though. You had it right the first time.
No, he's just Dracula or whatever the fuck. All right, I guess he's Eastern European is what he is.
Romanian. Transylvanian.
Transylvania. Is that close? I don't know. So he's there. He's in a room. And of course, my immediate thought is, what the fuck? He can just come in places and shit, not being invited? This is stupid. We'll get an answer to that later. So yeah, he just appears in her room, and she's like, really? And then he's like, she sets up, and he's like, you're magnificent. And she's like, okay. And then it's totally working on her too, because she's like, am I? And I'm just like, oh, barf. I hate when they make Buffy all just schoolgirls, stupid, you know what I mean? Like silly, but she's like, and then he's like, move your hair, and she immediately moves her hair, and then you can see the scar marks from when Angel ate her like 7 different times. I don't know. And it's like, people are not a virgin. I'm leaving immediately.
The scars from when the master drank from her, and from when Angel drank from her.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, so you have been tasted," and she's like, "Oh, gross." And there's some more silly, I don't even know what you want to call it, like enthralling things he says and does, but then eventually, long story short, he comes over to her and she just immediately lets him drink from her. He just drinks from her. And then the next day she gets up and she's getting dressed and getting ready to go out or whatever, and she remembers the bite marks on her neck, so she puts this little scarf on to hide it from everyone so they don't know she's a vamp hooer. So
Buffy, you vampire.
You vampire. We cut to Giles' pimp pad, and everybody's discussing what the plan of attack should be. And everybody's, everybody's got like ideas and shit they're throwing about. There's some funny shit in here with Xander. Like, first of all, he looks over, he interjects at one point and he keeps saying like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? The Dark Master, Bader." They look at him. And later on, he's like, the Dark Prince," and they look at him again, and he's like, Bader. But then he looks over and sees this, like Renfield. He sees this spider. Motherfucker! Did you see the size of this fucking spider?
Like, the fact that nobody else noticed that fucking thing crawling around. Like,
it
what?
Looks like Jurassic Park fucking spider that's crawling across this table. Like, if I saw that shit in my house, in my home, I'm burning that bitch to the ground and moving. But, because it's like a fuck. Anyway, he reaches over when nobody's looking and grabs it and eats it, like Renfield. And, then Buffy's like, oh, all of a sudden Buffy's just like, "I'm going to handle it on my own. Fuck all you," or, and they're just like, "What?" And she just goes out. And of course, Riley follows her and physically restrains her, which is so awesome. Spins her around and he's like, "What's going on with you, bitch?" And then he slaps her and she's like, "Ah!" And different show. Oh, he's just like, what's going on? And he's like, "Nothing. I'm just, I'm going to handle this," and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Oh, you're under his thrall." And I was like, whoa, he jumped to that conclusion really quick. I mean, he's right, but like, where did he get that information? And she's like, "What? No, I'm not." And he's like, "Take that scarf off." And she's like, "Take your shirt off, bitch." And
she's like, "Drop trow right now."
Drop trow and spread your cheeks as everyone walks out of Giles and right. Make them see the fucking chocolate starfish.
Right. Anyway. Drop trow right now on Giles's lanai. I dare you. I dare you.
And then
coward.
Squirt a turd out too on his fucking front porch.
Right. I dare you, you coward. If you're a real man, you'll do it.
Yeah, you're obviously just a little bitch boy. No, so he's like, "No, really, take it off." And he's still holding her by the arm. And she's like, "Let go of me." And when she pulls away, then he like grabs the scarf. And the scarf is like tied in a knot, but he literally just breathes on it and it falls right off. Like he's just like, and it comes right off. And everybody's like, "Oh, dun, dun, dun." And she's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't tell anybody." And they're like, "It's cool. We don't care." And so
then like Riley gets all butthurt, like
he's like, "I knew it. I knew you were enthralled." And
right, and then he starts whining about Angel again, and
well, I guess it makes sense. He basically said to her, "Well, I guess it makes sense since she used to be another vampire's whore that you're now Dracula's whore." And I'm like, wow, Riley. Like, you don't have that many episodes left. You might want to rein it in a little bit.
Spoiler alert.
What? I didn't. What? So they all, as a group, decide that Buffy cannot go and face Dracula because she's enthralled and she'll get killed, and then there's no show and nobody's getting paid. So they're like, we're all gonna go like basically as a team. We're gonna gangbang Dracula.
We're gonna gangbang Dracula
to death, and they're like, you're not going, Buffy. And she's suddenly like very just obedient. And she's like, okay, all right, you're totally right. And they're like, but we got to have somebody stay with her, until we can get the spell put back on her house to where he can't get in anymore. And they're like, well, stay with stay with Xander. And it's like, okay. And then, so she goes to Xander's house. She's like, I don't want to go. It's the basement of his parents' house. It's so lame. And
they never have the good cookies, the Milanos with the chocolate in the middle.
They've always got those generic. They're not the real Oreos. They're like Oreos, and the cream doesn't taste the same, and the cookies are like rock hard. I don't want to go there. And Xander's like, listen, I'm on food stamps, okay? I get what I can. And she's like, how about you get what you can? How about get a fucking job? And he cries. And
he cries. He just cries.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth
it.
It
is worth it. Although I will say, my home is not an Oreo home. We don't do Oreos in my house.
Well, you're the Antichrist. So, who's we anyway? You live alone. Who the fuck's we?
Anybody else that might happen to be in my home.
You and the action figures. Oh, so if anyone comes over, they're not even allowed to like bring Oreos with them.
No.
Wow. What a dick.
I refuse.
Mind me not to visit. So we cut to Xander's basement. Actually, it's Xander's parents' basement. And now wait a minute. Now he's been living in that basement 2 seasons now.
Something like that, yeah.
Jeez. You'd think he'd saved up enough to move out by now.
I think, did you skip? I think there's a scene before that at the Summers home with Willow and Tara and Joyce.
Yeah, it's not, well, I just have a tiny little bit in here, but it's them. It's Tara and Willow trying to put the spell back onto the house to make it so that
Dracula can't come in.
Dracula can't come in anymore, and then
because that's when we find out how Dracula got in. Joyce let him in.
Right, you're right. I should have said that. Joyce had apparently met him at a bar.
I don't think. I think he just showed. I think he just showed up at the house. Didn't he?
No, because she says how did she say that? I was having a cup of tea and he came up to me and I was like, so what did you say? Like, hey, you should come to my house sometime and come on in. it was just anyway. Stop typing. I can hear that. So
I'm looking up the script because I want to find out exactly.
Okay. You go ahead and do that.
I'm going to.
So yeah, and there is a funny line in there where she's like, you girls don't understand. She's like, it's really hard to date at my age, and sometimes you just want to give up on men completely. And Willow and Tara are like,
right, they're like, they give each other the big wink. They're like,
yeah, they're like, and then they have lesbian sex in front of Joyce. And they involve Joyce. Actually, she involves herself. Let's see. Or do you have ghosts or something there? I see you looking all around.
I have no idea what the fuck is happening, dude. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone.
Let's see. Where did I leave off? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now we cut to Xander's parents' basement, and Anya's being Anya, bitching about the fact that, I don't want to be here babysitting Buffy. I'm the one that knows Dracula. I should be going, and da 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 da. And as she's just going on, droning on and on and on, Xander at one point just takes her by the arm, leads her to the closet door, puts her into the closet, closes the door, and wedges a chair up to the door. And then he just turns to Buffy and says, "I'm supposed to take you to the master now." And Buffy's kind of like zoned out, and she just looks over at him and she's like, "Okay, let's go." And Xander's like, "All right." So I'm just gonna kind of mash together a couple of scenes here. He indeed takes her to this fucking castle in the middle of Sunnydale, a fucking castle. Remember I said that. And leads her inside and leads her to this like banquet room. It's of course the inside looks like a castle, and there's like torches and shit and candles for light and whatnot. And he leads her to this like banquet room where Dracula is waiting. And
which it always amazes me. And Angel is the same way in the mansion. Like he always had like candles and stuff lit. Like vampires are very cavalier around open flames for people that could literally like go up in flames. Like,
wow, I thought you were having a stroke there for a minute.
So did I. Honestly. I started
catch on fire.
I started smelling toast.
Do you smell almonds right now? But stop for just a second and think of it like this. They're no more susceptible to catching on fire than we are.
That's true.
And we will also die if burned good enough.
Yeah, that's true.
We're pretty cavalier around it, so, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, just saying.
No, you're right. I've got a candle going right now. Over across the room.
Once again, I'm right. So
I could literally die right now.
You could. That flame could come over to you at any moment and catch on fire. Sorry. Oh, did you ever find the thing in the script?
No, that's when
I
opened.
That's when the ghost came in.
Yeah, that's when the ghost took over my computer, and I was like, "Nah, fuck it.
Okay.
It's not that important."
Okay.
We'll just go with the idea that Joyce is a whore and picked up a dude at the bar.
Yeah, and it didn't even pick him up. It was more like she, literally, the way she explained it is, it was like she told him, like they had a cup of tea or a glass of something together, and then and you're like, okay, so what did you tell him exactly? Hey, you should stop by my house sometime. And also, you don't need to knock. You can just come in. It's like, it's an oddly specific conversation. Unless they had planned for some weird sex and she was like, hey, just come in my house and just come upstairs and just take me to Pound Town, or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I must not have been listening very closely because I could have sworn I walked away from it thinking that he just came to the house and enchanted her and she let him in. But I could be wrong.
In the middle of the night when they were asleep, and plus she's like, come on in. And he's like, no, I must turn to mist and go up and go into the window of your daughter. And she was just like, okay.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Well, then how? I don't know.
Exactly. It's it's more bad writing, James. It's more bad writing.
Because then the question is, like, how did Joyce even know Dracula was there? But then I guess Willow and Tara would have been like, hey, we need to do the vampire protection spell on your house again because someone let Dracula in.
You're a dumbass and you invited this pale fucking dude with long fingernails and pointy fucking teeth. Because have we mentioned the fact that he doesn't have vampire face?
Right.
That he's just always a vampire of normal. He looks normal. He's pale, but he just looks like a normal human. And he even has like the constant vampire teeth.
Right.
So we haven't mentioned that. Another reason why I hate this episode. So anyway, Xander drops off Buffy. He's like, so can we do this thing now where you said you'd make me immortal? And he's like, fuck off. And Xander's like, yes, sir. And leaves immediately to parts unknown of the castle. Meanwhile, Riley and Giles, they even have the funny line, which I'm glad they put it in because it annoys me, where Riley's like, did you ever notice there's just a huge castle in the middle of Sunnydale? And Giles is like, no, I've never noticed that because it never existed. So anyway, they're able to just walk in. They literally just walk in the front door. No problem. They walk in. They're like, okay. They get split up. Riley ends up going into some room and closes the door, and then the door immediately opens and Xander walks in and he's like, hey, you can't hurt the Dark Master. If you want the Dark Master, you got to go through me. And then Riley immediately punches him in the face and KOs him.
Fucking clock.
And I was like, yes. And then he just leaves the room. And Xander is, like, at best, he has slight brain damage because that was a hard punch and his fucking head bounced off the ground. So he at least has a hematoma on the brain, minimum.
100%.
Meanwhile, Giles opens this door and he just falls like 3 feet to the floor. And he's immediately surrounded by 3 beautiful, voluptuous vampire hooers. And he's like, oh, you must be the 3 sisters. And they just start literally ripping his clothes off. And he's not really fighting back. He's like, oh, no, don't, no, get my dick out of your mouth. No. And, and then we cut back to Buffy and Dracula. And he's doing more of his, you're this and you're that, and you should join me, and together we will rule the galaxy as father and son. Wrong. But that's basically what it boils down to. And he's like, then he cuts his own fucking wrist. Did he put it in a goblet?
No.
Okay.
No,
you're right.
Offers it to her.
Yeah, and he's like, taste me. And she's like, dude, you could have hepatitis. And so then she does. When she's drinking his blood, she gets these flashes of, it looked like it was just flashes of her from earlier in the episode when she was like running through the cemetery and beating up fucking vamps and shit. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, and there were some flashes of the first Slayer in there too.
Okay. I wasn't paying that because at this point I was kind of zoning out. And then she immediately pulls her lips back and she goes, ooh. And he's like, what? How dare you? You were resisting. And she's like, yeah, fuck you. And he's like, no, you cannot resist my charms. And she's like, you're French. I don't like you. And so they start fighting. And it's a pretty good fight. Good stunt, good action and whatnot. Good fight. At one point, she brings up what you brought up, where she grabs a torch off the wall, and she's like, for somebody who's can go up in flames, which again, that's all of us. She says you should really go electric, and he's like, oh, funny, ha ha ha, and he takes his beret off and throws it at her, and it's actually like that fucking Xena thing, and it flies through the anyway, long story short, at one point he realizes he's kind of like basically losing the fight, so he turns into mist and he goes floating up the steps, and she's like, she just books it. She starts running, grabs the steak she had brought with her off the end of the table, runs up to where he's rematerializing, and bam, stakes him. And it's a cool dusting too, because he's like, oh, and he falls off the stairs, and when he hits the ground, it's like, oh, and
it was good. It was good.
It was dope.
One of the better dustings. as far as like physically.
So he dusts, and of course, just as he's been taken care of, all the rest of the Scoobies arrive. Which, by the way, I cut out a little part where Riley had found Giles in that room, and he's like, "Oh," Giles is like, "Oh, thank heavens you've come." He's like, "There was no possible escape," and it's only like 3 feet, two or 3 feet up. And it was, I don't know.
And then Riley like pulls him out, and Giles' shoe falls off, and Giles is like, "Oh, my shoe! I'll go back for it.
Let me just go back." And he's like, "No."
Riley's like, "No."
Yeah. So they all show up in there, and they talk, and she's like, "Yeah, I've dusted him," and they're all like, "Yay!" And then they all do like a jump in the air high five thing, and
Xander shows up and bitches about having to eat spiders, and he says he's done being everybody's butt monkey.
Yeah, which I'm like, what is that even? What? And they're like, okay, and then they all leave, but then we see the mist begin to reform, and it's Dracula once again, and then he's immediately staked again. And she's like, I saw the movies, I know you always come back. And she does see him again. And then they really all fuck off and leave. And then the mist comes back again. And yeah, so he's not dead. And
the mist starts to come back again, and then you hear Buffy off screen again, like, I'm standing right here.
Yeah.
And then the mist dissipates. And this is what ruined the whole Dracula thing for me in this episode. Like I said before, I was 100% on board with, like the turning into mist and the various animals, even the fact that he maintains a human appearance in vamp form, like just being like gypsy tricks, okay? Because we know obviously that witches exist in this world. We know that the gypsies in this universe are capable of powerful curses, angels, soul and everything. So I was 100% on board with using that as kind of a throwaway explanation as to how to fit Dracula, the Bram Stoker version of Dracula, into this world. And then they go and piss it away with this end scene here by having him reform after getting dusted
twice,
get dusted again, try to reform again, and then be scared off by Buffy being like, I'm still right here. Hey, they should have just left it at him getting dusted. Like, fucking, she killed Dracula. Great, she's the greatest fucking Slayer to ever live.
Well, I think what I felt and kind of still feel the same way. And then I thought about it, and I thought, okay, maybe what they were trying to do was say, because Dracula he might be roughly half as old as the Master was, right?
Sure.
So he's not the oldest or the original or the first vampire, at least in the Buffyverse. So in my head, I said, okay, well then he's using a bunch of gypsy magic and gypsy and various wizardry and magic and stuff to pull these things off. And basically what they were saying was he's actually what Spike said he was, like kind of a big showman, a P.T. Barnum. Right. And I was totally behind all that, like you said, until they show, but he's actually fucking completely invulnerable. Like, right. The Master wasn't even invulnerable, right? And he was way older and more powerful. And so it's like, I don't know what they're trying to do.
It literally, and I realize this might be extreme, but this ending of, like, that scene, that ending, not the actual ending of the show, of this episode, but the ending of Dracula in this episode ruined the rest of the episode for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the rest of the episode overall.
Did you happen to read the trivia about from this scene?
No. What was it?
The original ending was supposed to be they separate, she gets that torch off the wall, she says her line about electricity and all that. He realizes he's outgunned. Or no, I think the Scoobs are supposed to show up at that point. Regardless, he realizes he can't beat her. So he says, "Oh, you've made a huge mistake. You could have been more powerful. I could have taught you so much, but you were a fool." And that he turns into the wolf and jumps out the window and escapes into the night. That was what the original ending was supposed to be.
That would have been perfect and would have literally saved the entire episode.
I don't know who the fuck made the call to, hey, let's stake him twice. Like I don't know who made that call, but whoever it was should be pushed out of a helicopter screaming naked in front of their families. Anyway, I'll go ahead and finish it up real quick. Then we cut back to Giles' apartment. It's the next day, and he and Buffy are sitting there, and he's getting ready to tell Buffy about his plans to go back to jolly old England.
Jolly old England.
And Buffy's like, well, I got something I want to tell you too. So before he tells her that, he's like, well, okay, go ahead. And she's like, well, in long story short, she's like, it's been a long time since I've had a watcher, blah, 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 blah. Ever since we did that spell with the first Slayer, I've like felt something. She's like, here lately, I've been hunting, or I've been going out every single night. And he's like on patrol, and she's like hunting. And he's like, whoa. And she's like, I need to understand what's going on with me. I need to understand more about this first Slayer, where I come from, where my powers come from, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, I need you, Giles. I need you to be my watcher again. I like, you're the only one that can help me do this. And so he's obviously elated, and as are the rest of the audience, to see that he's not leaving. And so she's like, well, what did you want to tell me? And he's like, oh, it was nothing. And she's just totally accepting of that. Oh, okay. I mean, I know you called me over to your house to have a talk, but now you don't want to. But that's fine. So Buffy's now at home, and she's I think she was changing. She was grabbing something, and her mom's in another room, I think in her bedroom, and they're kind of talking through the hall, across the hall, and she's like, hey, I'm going to the movies with Riley, and Buffy walks into her bedroom, and this young girl standing there, and I don't know, she looks to be about 13, 14, somewhere in that neighborhood. She turns and faces Buffy, and Buffy looks at her, and she's like, what are you doing here? And then you hear Joyce's voice say, Buffy, you should take your sister with you to the movie. And then both Buffy and the girl turn and look towards the door, and they go, Mom! And poof, credits.
Yeah. You say that girl like Dawn hasn't been there the entire time, Jeremy.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. We've never really talked much about her, but yeah, she's been there since day one.
Yeah. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while.
And it's been a while.
Oh, yeah. But would you like to play everyone's favorite game, Guess the Body Count?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah. Then tell me, buddy, how many dead bodies do you think there were in this episode? Kills.
I'm going to say 2.
4.
Okay.
The 2 vampires staked by Buffy, and then the 2 movers killed by Dracula.
I forgot about the 2 vamps at the beginning. Yeah.
Our music this week, Vertical Horizon with Finding Me. And we have a new series composer this season, Mr. Thomas Wanker.
I'm going to leave that one alone. Too bad his first name. Too bad his first name wasn't Richard.
Dick Wanker. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gave us for this episode Dracula's Power, the opening score, Buffy Fights Dracula, and Dracula Bites Buffy, as well as the original score for the episode.
Do you think Dracula ends up leaving Sunnydale driving Dracula?
Probably.
Do you think he burned?
Do you think he burned through the witches or burned through and slammed through the ditches?
Ditches and witches and hitches and
ditches.
Yeah.
Probably.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. What else? I think that was it. I talked about the actor that played Dracula. You gave us a little behind-the-scenes trivia. Oh, originally when Marty Noxon wrote the episode and was pitching it, she just kind of envisioned like this, like really cool vampire who like rode a horse all the time. And then finally she kept referring to him as Dracula. And finally He Who Shall Not Be Named was like, why don't we just use Dracula? He's in the public domain.
Yeah, he is.
So
yeah, I'm sure Joss was like, why don't we just use that since we can steal it legally?
And right.
They're all like, yeah, okay. And,
exactly. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell me,
on
our traditional scale of 1 to 5,
how
many butt monkeys do you give this episode?
I've had different opinions from the time I watched it. I've had my opinions changed a couple times as we've talked about it. I'm going to stick with my original gut. I'm going to give it a 2.
Okay.
I think I've pretty much brought up all my gripes with it as we were going. I just didn't. I don't know, for a season opener episode, it just missed big. And for me, not just because of them deciding suddenly at the end to make him invulnerable. I don't know what that was about, but and it's not just that, but it's that plus it just really it was like a 3 episode with minus the ending. The ending made it a 2. So I feel like a 3 episode, like it for a season opener, man, it just seemed really weak to me. It just seemed like they were really swinging for the fences, but they didn't connect. Let's put it that way. I think they should have left public domain Dracula the fuck alone. I don't think if you're doing something vampire related, whether it's a book, a movie, a television show, whatever, I think you need to leave Dracula the fuck alone, because he has very established lore and very established rules and all that stuff, and trying to bring him into your own thing, especially the Buffyverse, like Dracula does not fit in the Buffyverse at all. Not if you're being honest, he just doesn't. And I don't think Dracula needs to be part of the Buffyverse. That's just my opinion. But, yeah, it just boils down to it was a big swing and a big miss in my opinion. So it's getting 2 butt monkeys, James. That's the best I can do.
All right.
So why don't you, James, sir, tell myself and our vast audience, give us your final thoughts on the episode, as well as on a scale of 1 to 5, how many Vampire Sister Whoers do you give this episode?
Well, ironically, since there are this many of them anyway, I give this episode 3 Vampire Sister Whores. Everything I said stands. I honestly, I think I liked this episode. I didn't hate it. I disagree with your stance about not bringing Dracula into your own vampire lore. I think, man, if they had just let Buffy stake him at the end there and had him die, or better yet, if for some reason you don't want to kill off Dracula, you go with that proposed ending where he turns into the wolf and jumps out the window. I would have been fine with it. I can buy that he was just a vampire showman using, magics and trickery to make himself seem more impressive. The misting and the turning into animals and everything. Like, I could buy that out of this universe. But then they ruined it by making him invulnerable, and that takes you out of it, because now that's beyond just gypsy magic and trickery and witchcraft and whatnot. So if they hadn't done that, it honestly probably would have been a 4 for me. I don't know that it necessarily works as a season opener. I like the idea that they're setting up to explore the Slayer lineage finally after 4 seasons. Buffy is seems intent on embarking on this journey to find out more about Slayer heritage, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's about time for something like that. But I honestly feel like this would have been a better season 4 finale. As a follow-up to calling on the first Slayer, to beat Adam. You know what I'm saying? Kind of a follow-up to Restless, and then, use this as your season 4 finale, and then pick up with something else.
Yeah, because as we recall, the season 4 finale was flatter than piss on a plate.
Well, are you talking about Restless itself, or the episode before that where they defeated Adam? Because Restless was pretty good.
To me, both of them. Well, especially the one where they defeated Adam, because it wasn't even the fucking finale. It was like, really?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, it would have been a 4 for me, honestly, if it wasn't for that how they chose to deal with Dracula there at the end. Like I said, I'm glad they're finally doing something with delving into the Slayer lineage and whatnot. I'm kind of tired. We've had it 2 seasons in a row now. I'm kind of tired of our season finale not setting up, or our season premiere not setting up our major villain and story arc for the season. Because, spoiler alert, the Slayer lineage thing isn't our A story for the season. Even it's at best the B story. Sometimes it becomes C story.
Sometimes it's ignored completely.
Right. But yeah, we've got yet another season opener where we aren't introduced to our season long big bad, or what our arc for the season is going to be. Or they're trying to misdirect us again. Oh, it's going to be a season long arc about discovering the Slayer, powers and history and whatnot. So, and I'm not saying that doesn't play a role in this season, because it does. It's just not our season long A plot that we're yet to be introduced to. And spoiler alert, aren't going to be introduced to for a few episodes.
Yep.
So,
indubitably.
But that's my final thoughts on this one.
All right. Well, everybody, I'm going to streamline this and just tell everybody, listen, BuffyRevisited.com is going to take you to a place where you're going to be able to get links to all of our contacts and social media, which would be Facebook. Also our email address, BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. Yeah, join the Facebook group if you want. Email us if you want. Get in contact with us. Share your thoughts. Share your opinions. welcome us back, tell us, God, I wish you had stayed away, whatever you want. It's fine.
I do want to slip in there that going to that link will also take you to our YouTube, where you can view the video version of this very
show.
This very show.
Yes, and all of our previous ones. So yeah, I think that pretty well sums it up. James, how's it feel to be back, my friend?
Feels pretty good.
It does. I agree. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for this season because I enjoy this season much more than I did season 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only half chubbed up, but we'll get there.
Well, we'll get full mast eventually.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right then. Well, that being said, thank you for joining us this week, and thank you all for if you're back listening to us from before. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for your understanding in our way longer hiatus than we had ever intended. And hey, join us next week because we're going to be revisiting season 5, episode 2, Real Me.
Indeed.
So, with that being said, I have been one of your revisitors. I'm Jeremy.
I've been your other revisitor, James.
Ta-ta.